Welcome to the Ultimate Gamer Podcast, a show that features conversations with the trailblazers, thought leaders, decision makers, and investors who are defining the gaming and esports space. On the Ultimate Gamer Podcast, we take a journey into this dynamic industry and start to decode and reveal who and what's making news. It's about connecting, and it's about sharing the stories and vision of the people who make gaming and esports a global phenomenon. And now, please welcome your host, student of the game and connector to the esports community, Tommy Knapp.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tommy Knapp, and this is an all-new episode of the All About the Game podcast presented by The Ultimate Gamer. On today's show, I have a conversation with Magnus Leppaniemi, Vice President of Marketing and Head of Esports at Esports Entertainment Group. He's also an advisor to the ESPL. He is an integral part of the team that is building the EEG into one of the top esports betting platforms in the industry. Expanding their global reach is his primary focus. Magnus is based in Stockholm and has been involved in the industry for decades, having begun his career by selling NES consoles in the early 90s. Following some minor technical difficulties, Magnus and I jumped right into a discussion about betting in esports versus traditional sports. He then talked about the differences in the industry across international borders, as well as the investment into and valuation of esports organizations. As an industry veteran, Magnus commented on the state of esports today versus 20 years ago, and discussed the evolution of the involvement of moms in the gaming scene. He shared a number of interesting anecdotes regarding his nearly 6 years with DreamHack and offered a few tips to aspiring young professionals looking to enter the esports industry. Please join me now for my conversation with Mr. Magnus Leppaniemi. It's crazy, man.
It's crazy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
How's the...
I got you. Yeah, I got you. I got the sound and I got the video. Yeah.
Nice. Then it works right now. Then.
Yeah, man. Where are you right now?
I'm in Stockholm.
Oh, nice.
In Sweden.
Nice.
So yeah. So we are actually. I'm at the working from a bar today. We're actually running a after work for esports and gaming people in Stockholm today. So. I mean, we don't have the lockdown. It's just social distancing, and we can do that. So we're like 30 people from the industry meeting today to drink beer at 5:30 here today. It's going to be nice.
Yeah. Is it like a business panel, or is it just a networking type of thing?
It's just networking. People coming in. You know, people from G-Loop, people from Challenge Mode, it's people from DreamHack, it's people from different, all the industry, game developers. Payment system, everything that's part of the industry is coming today. So that's really nice. I mean, there hasn't been anything done for a long time here. So you were like the first one. Me and Michael from Toby say, hey, let's do something. We haven't. I mean, supposed to be in LA this last weekend. We usually meet a lot of people. You go for afterworks wherever. That was killed. So yeah, now we try. So let's do it in Stockholm instead and invite people, see if people are interested to join and want to come there. So.
Yeah, man, it's funny you said that because I was actually going to say to you that I wanted to have a fika break with you because I had Frank Erickson on not that long ago and we were talking about fika.
Yeah, I saw you had him on.
Yeah.
Frank is coming today. Frank is joining us today. So. Yeah,
man, I hope that he'll run behind you and like give me a high five or something like that.
I can tell him that.
So Stockholm. Hey, so I wanted to ask you something. I was on your Twitter page, and we just did something. The same thing you guys. I mean, it's different. We did what's called the Ultimate Gamer Studio Experience here in Miami, but we did a shot with a bunch of the staff, and then some of the gamers that were coming through with the arms folded. You know, the tough. I got the arms folded and the glare look. Yeah. You got that on your Twitter page. Is that your gaming look?
I don't know what it is. It's actually when I was I had an interest in a photography for a while, and I was trying out different poses and was trying to learn that, and also setting the light, like that's where everything like that comes from. So I tried to do that. So running behind, pushing the powder, and just 10 seconds, then you need to run back.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm not the model. You can see that, so that's why I need to at least look lean or whatever. So it shouldn't look pretty or nice, whatever. So I
So
went
the
to
so the event you guys are doing there right now today, that's it's basically to get a bunch of the gaming and esports people together from the Stockholm area. It was just kind of impromptu, or is this something that had been planned for a while?
no, it's just something that me and Michael talked about this for like 2 weeks ago. So then we just thought about it, and then I think we sent out invites for like last week. Say, hey, we're gonna meet at this bar. We invited 40 people that from the industry in Stockholm. Say, hey guys, we're gonna meet for beer, and we out of those 40, I think we invited 44. Actually, 30 said yes. So a lot of people came here, so that's really nice. But as I said, I think people want to meet people, missing that whole
For sure.
networking thing, meeting the others. I mean, everybody's been sitting home for a while now, so that's why I think you want to get out the network.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think? I mean, I had Frank on, like I said, and I believe Toby's in the region
Mm-hmm.
too. Stockholm itself as a city, would you say, like globally, where would you rank Stockholm? I mean, you guys are pretty high up there in the esports and gaming world, wouldn't you say?
I would say that definitely Sweden is always been high up there, and I think that comes way back also to the DreamHack time. I mean, DreamHack has been in Sweden since 1994. It's been there, and a lot of those kind of spring out of that thing. So a lot of people's been going to DreamHacks events. They've seen esport tournaments. I was at a webinar last day, and he was about social media, selling all that, and I told him I was DreamHack. He's like, oh, I love DreamHack. I went to the event 1999 in Borlänge. Like, I love that. Like, okay, that's nice. So that's
Yeah,
the
man.
relationship you have there. And also, of course, there was a VC capital coming in Stockholm. I think we are maybe second or third after San Francisco. There's a lot of VC money. So there's a lot of these kind of investments happening here. So also in Stockholm, it's a growing ground for a lot of new ideas, a lot of cool tech coming out of here.
Yeah, yeah, man. And you mentioned DreamHack. I want to kind of start a little bit before that, actually. Just
Mm-hmm.
I always like to do a little bit of a background. So, when did you start as a gamer, like as a kid, or did you just go to DreamHack in 1994 and jump right into the esports and gaming world and that at that time?
I mean, I'm an old guy, so I've been working in gaming for all my life. It's all the works I have except for one or two has been within gaming. I started actually selling Nintendo 8-bits for rentals in the early 90s, traveling around northern part of Sweden for that, selling that. So, and I would say I've never been a hardcore gamer that one, but definitely a casual gamer. You know, I don't consider me playing. I love to play Super Mario. That I'm not a hardcore gamer.
Right.
It's not like playing Path of Exile or World of Warcraft. It is a casual game, and also playing. I enjoy really much playing like NHL, FIFA, or Call of Duty. That's been like my things, and that's like, or Football Manager. Maybe that's a hardcore game. That's Football Manager. I spent a lot of time in that.
Yeah.
But I would say myself a casual gamer, definitely. But it's been a part of my life, all the time.
So when you started at DreamHack, what did DreamHack look like back in the day? Because I went to DreamHack I went to DreamHack Atlanta about 2 years ago, and then I went to DreamHack Dallas last year. And I mean, phenomenal events right there. If you don't know anything about gaming and esports, go to a DreamHack event, because what you see there is just incredible. Right? From the gaming to all the partners that are involved, all the activations, it's just really amazing. I mean, I think in Atlanta, it's almost 1 million square feet, right, of gaming space.
It's the Atlanta use, and as I said, there's still halls that DreamHack can use to build out the event. I mean, from where it started, but I mean, DreamHack is definitely different. When I started, I think I was number 14 starting at DreamHack, and we did like 4 or 5 events, maybe 6 events that year. So it wasn't that big, but it took off really fast with DreamHack, and it's been a journey that I'm super proud to be a part of. I learned so many things about that. I mean, when I started in 2013 in December, just after DreamHack Winter, came to our office. First day, like nobody was there because everybody has been to DreamHack Winter. So everybody's like, being off there and like taking resting and taking a couple of days off. And I came into the office like, hello, nobody's here. I call my wife. They're like, nobody's here. What's happening? I'm like, wait and see what's happening. I'm like, yeah. And then people start, some people enter in at 11 or lunch. But I mean, they've been at DreamHack for a couple of days. So kind of good, but it's definitely different vibe compared to what my previous work at Storm, there was like everybody seeing it like, 8 in the morning. If you came 8:30, you were last one, and you were supposed to be last leaving the office also. So
right.
it was different. But it was that, I mean, DreamHack 2013, 2014 is that competitive eye with ESL. We're really trying to compete with those guys, seeing what they're doing. And I think we had that grassroots vibe. We're really trying to do more for the grassroots people than ESL. We're trying to do that top level where we're building that grassroots, and really felt that we taking productions, new ideas, and testing that. It was really a testing ground for a lot of cool ideas that just came out of the informal meetings you had around the office or around the coffee machine and that. So it was a great time. But I mean, DreamHack moved on to be a bigger part when they started joining, when the MTG bought them. That's where we can make a big push in the US also. I think it was 2017, we did 3 events in the US. That was crazy. That was, I mean, we did 1 event in 2016, 3 in 2017. That was
right.
Going Austin, Denver, and Atlanta.
Right.
That year was tough, especially
so
for the bracket people.
What was your specific role when you were there?
For the US thing, I mean, for the first event, I spearheaded the whole US sales thing. I went over there with, having just the DreamHack name, but I mean, it showed how powerful the DreamHack brand was and how many people actually knew about DreamHack and was excited. But we were talking and coming there. So my first event then I went over was to PAX West and walking around there. So that's where I met just in Moscow. We actually then was one of the things that negotiated the first year to getting DreamHack over there a little bit with also looking at venues and that. But my goal was to see if people are interested, to see if DreamHack coming, sponsors, people who want to exhibit and all that. So that was a great journey. I learned a lot about the US market, and I actually tend to like that market, how it works, and to work that way.
What do you see like when you travel around? Like, what'd you say, Boston, Denver, and Atlanta that first year, or the second year with 3?
We did Austin, Texas. We did Denver, and we did Atlanta that second year.
Austin,
first year was only Austin.
Okay.
Austin was the first year. Yeah.
Do you feel like when you travel around in the States and then obviously in Europe, you've done a number of them as well. Do you see huge differences, or do you see? I mean, there's obviously similarities and differences, but when you travel just around the States, are there differences like in the people that are attending? Maybe there's more business people at some. Are there certain games that fit better? It's and I wonder this because I think it's Free Fire, right? Free Fire is like this massive title right now in South America, but I hear nothing about it here. And then some other titles like there's it's not Clash Royale, but there's a big Asian title where it's massive over there, but I don't hear about it much in the States. So when you came over here, did you find it was a big difference between what's going on in Stockholm and then what's going on in each one of those different cities you were visiting?
Yeah, I would say US. I would say the Nordic region or in Germany, it's PC. Everything is PC based. The console is a little bit hard of breaking through, but in the US, I think it's PC as dominant as the console is as dominant as PC. So I think that's the biggest difference there. And you can see a lot of people actually come and compete, and in console games it's not that big. I would say in Europe, that whole fighting game community we have over there, that just in Burnham's building, I think that's been crazy, and I love that atmosphere. And you don't have that same thing coming over to say go to DreamHack Winter or you go to Germany. You don't have that community feel. People stand around you. It's just people competing and somebody's actually standing behind them and shouting in their ear. I love that vibe. I think it's amazing.
Right.
You don't see that, but of course there's difference also in the events there are, and especially for DreamHack. Look at DreamHack Winter, DreamHack Summers. Those are, the super calm events. It's alcohol-free events. It's a little bit younger kids demographics going to those events. If you go to the US events, it's actually a little bit older. They spend a little bit more money. They're more buying that, premium VIP seats. They buy that. I don't have to bring my computer. It's actually a computer share and everything is set up there. They like to buy that thing. And DreamHack invented those. I think it was brilliant. Those founder packages that really people can see for the first event. That the people keep buying them for their different events coming up, and DreamHack really took care of them. And I think that's a big difference. That doesn't apply really in Sweden, where people are more used to having things free, so to get a lot of things instead. And also, if you look at compared to the German events, the same little, I would say, cool vibe. But then in Germany, you can see, people in one hand they have the 30,000 or €3,000 computer, and on the other hand they got 4 cases of beer. They roll into the event. They're going to have that part. So there are cultural differences. There are differences to the events, and I think that's what I like with DreamHack, because they all come for one thing: is the love for gaming and hanging around, meeting friends. Like that event, you go to meet with your friends. You're playing online with them all year, and then it's like event coming in. If it's Austin, if it's the Jönköping, or if it's in Valencia, it's great. It's a way to meet your friends and hang around. And it's like you see tournaments, you play together, you see all these music acts, and experience all the other crazy things that happens there.
Yeah, man, I was amazed at just the talent in the music. I wasn't expecting when I went to Atlanta. I mean, the DJs that they had in the evening, it was, it was top. It was first rate. I mean, it was amazing. And the other thing, and you just mentioned something, but there were bars all over the DreamHack Atlanta and I think the DreamHack Dallas event, and I didn't see hardly anybody actually drinking. I was pretty surprised.
I think it's just something that the US are expected to be there. It's not that they, you're not going to see people getting super drunk and hang and just, tear things apart or going riots. It's just something that they want to have maybe a beer or fine, and that's fine with that. So that's what they're expecting. In Sweden, there's a different alcohol law where you can't sell alcohol at all and you can't be present. And also there's been also a little bit marketed as a more alcohol-free event. So that's what makes it so calm, that event. I mean, usually if you go to a soccer game in Sweden, it's like 30,000 fans. It's like 4,000 people there, police and security guards just doing that. And you go to DreamHack, it's 50,000 people, and it's like 4 security guards, and the police come like every once in a while to check the event.
I know.
But it's the same, it's the same demographics, 18 to 25 or 18 to 30 that goes to events. The difference is it's crazy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the alcohol is one thing, but of course, people come for one thing. It's actually to experience the event, to play games, hang with their friends. And as I said, usually you've been traveling for maybe 3 hours. Then you don't want to get kicked out of the event or have to call your mom and say, hey, mom, you need to pick me up. I got kicked out because I was doing stupid shit. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not happening. Yeah.
No, but I agree with you. When I went to the DreamHack, I think the DreamHack Dallas event, just the mentality and the peacefulness and the patience of the people, because there are big lines, Magnus. There are like some massive lines to get through security and get into these things. And I've said this before, but I mean, I didn't hear anybody complaining, even complaining. Everybody's just like very social, just hanging out together in a community environment, and really, even though they're just waiting to get in, everybody's so pleasant and polite. So I found that pretty incredible.
I guess they were somewhere at 16, 17 events, somewhere around that. So that means when I started 2013, it was 6 events, and they're up to 17 now. And also I think they are at somewhere 80, 85 people over there now. So they've been growing, and they're building something great over there. I really like what DreamHack is doing and what they're actually doing for the community and for grassroots there. That's amazing. I think there's nobody that actually do what they do, and I think I think it's great for the gaming community. A great place for people to meet at.
Love it, man. I love it. So tell me a little bit about the ESPL. I don't know that much about the ESPL, the Esports Players League, and it looks like you're an advisor there. I'd like to learn a little bit about that.
Yeah, ESPL is a tournament organization, and also a tournament platform, and it's focused on right now on Arena Free Fire, as we talked about, but also it's mobile games. So they are building. I would say you usually have you are at your your bedroom playing games. Then next thing will be like the big stage in Katowice that ESL runs. There's no middle thing there.
Right.
But what ESPL is doing is they're building that whole thing from being at home playing in your bedroom to take it to the local league that has that, and then you go to the national league, and then you go to the European league, and then you go to the World Final. So there's actually all those steps there. But they've been focused a lot on the mobile games. They've been running tournaments in Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, India for like to win a Free Fire. They also are also present in Latin America, in Mexico, Peru, and Ecuador. It's not your traditional markets that you go for like Europe and North America, because those are still PC heavy, or you need to have a PC tournament to like, otherwise it's not esport. But looking at it, actually, everybody has a phone, and all the new games that come out, there's the PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Warzone Mobile, and Arena Free Fire, all excellent games that actually you can compete in and have that. So ESPL is building that ecosystem for both teams and also for sponsors to have that visibility. They are using local partners in each country. So ESPL is a global one, and then they have local partners like in Mexico, Peru, Ecuador, working with like Paytm in India and those kind of things. So they're building, I would say, an ecosystem that's missing that, or that structure when you go from amateur to pro, that's actually a little bit missing in esports. I mean, they are trying to fill that void with different things, but it's like usually that's the big pros, and then there's a bedroom to pros, I think. So.
Yeah, I think it's obviously it's going to take a little time. A lot of people that are just getting involved may not know that esports itself, esports, not gaming, but esports is still very, very, very young. And so it's going to take a little time to build out everything in between, and even at the grassroots level, right? The grassroots level is still very fragmented. There's, at least here in the States, there's very little. I say this all the time. My kids can go and play in a rec soccer league, and then they can play in a travel or competitive soccer league, and then they can play at the academy level, and then they can go into college. And in esports, they can't do that. They can't do that in any title. I don't care if it's Rocket League or League of Legends or Fortnite, or so that doesn't really exist. So it's great to see companies taking that on. That's a pretty heavy lift, and it's a big move, but it's necessary.
I think it's necessary. I think that's missing. That's, I mean, that's the esport needs that we still can have a growth of people coming and playing, and we can push new players into the game, and we can also build more teams, and that also builds the whole ecosystem and all that. So, I mean, that I like what Overwatch doing and Call of Duty. Those leagues are in rough for Riot. I think they're the leader in this. They have both the big champ. They have that. They started all these Nordic leagues, or the Dach League, or the Brazilian leagues, that national, and then put you on the next level and the next level. I think that's a role model, and they also being able to monetize that doing well. So I'm super excited to see what they're doing with Valorant and how they're going to build that up, if they're using the Valve or CSGO method, or they're going to continue with what they did with League of Legends.
Yeah. The one part of that whole thing that I think is a void right now, and we need to fill, and we all need to work on this, but it's coaching. When you think about coaching, right? It's and when you talk about traditional sports, typically the coaches of the young kids are people like you and me. The guys that have been playing for a while, right? I can't coach a 10-year-old on how to play any game right now in esports and gaming. I just can't. I can get out there and teach them soccer and football and basketball, but I can't do it in gaming. So that's one of the areas that I think is a massive area for probably like 17 to 25-year-olds.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, usually, I think that you have a lot of people that knows the game, that's been playing the game on professional. They can coach you on the game and tactics, but this is you and I can't do the game tactics, but we can know how to coach a team, how to build that and work together. So I think that's one of the things that really is missing over there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So now let's talk about the transition. You just made the recent transition into Esports Entertainment Group. Very exciting. I met Grant Johnson up in Toronto probably 6 or 8 months ago. Great guy. So talk to us a little bit about what Esports Entertainment Group is doing. It's another area that is just exploding and going to be incredibly massive in this esports and gaming world.
I mean, Esports Entertainment Group is the mother company, and they have a brand called YGG, who's their esports brand. That's going to be your esports betting brand. So, and that's where I'm responsible for that. I'm there to build that esports betting. Focusing on the partnerships, building everything around that. And then we just bought a second company called Argyle. That's better UA. That's the classical, I would say, big betting company has a sports book, traditional sports and casinos. So that will be something that we bought, that we also have it in the companies. And we are looking to acquire a little bit more of traditional sports books and casinos. But that's also getting the license for that. So that means like we will have a Malta license, we will have a UK license, we will have an Irish license, so we can operate in a lot of countries. With some licenses aren't that tier 1 license that Malta, UK, and I don't know. So it means you need the license to operate in countries like US. You need 52 license. I don't know why. Like you one country, but you need one for each state. But you need one for Sweden. We need one for Germany. So we're trying to getting those licenses is what we want to do and build that. So we are a transparent company. We're trying to do everything very transparent, and that's coming with the licenses we have, because they have 24/7 access to our books, can check what we're doing, and also being, as you said, we're one of the first companies listed on NASDAQ. Also, that's a great pedigree to have, but that also gives that we're under SEC regulations and terms, so we're not just losing license. We're actually going to be if we do bad stuff, we're going to end up in jail. And I can tell you, I'm not interested in sitting in a US jail
Right.
anytime happening. So we will definitely follow that. But as I say, we are with YGG. We want to build the best esports betting service, so to say. And it's going to be that traditional, of course, the sports book, the thing you could match on the matches. But we're also looking at pool bets where you can bet within the game against other people. We want to build out the fantasy thing. We know that's huge in the US, and we're trying to build that out. And also we have some other things we want to add to that site. So it's going to be a site that you not just come and place a bet and then you leave. We want you to stay longer. We want you to do more stuff there, and you can get maybe your esport news about the team, so you can read up more about the teams that's happening and all that. So you can make, if you want to bet, you can make a best guess on what's going to happen in game.
So talk to me a little bit about the licensing. You said, where are you guys? Where can I right now, if I wanted to go on vi.gg, where can I actually play? Where can I bet?
I mean, I would say right now it's the Latin region and CIS region. That's what you do, and also some parts of Germany we can do that. That's because we have that Curacao license right now. That's the first one to get. That's the tier 3, I would say. But we should have our Malta license pretty soon. We also applied for New Jersey. So when that happens, you can be in New Jersey in the US and bet on the YGD platform. But right now we are blocked in the US, so we can't have anything there. So anything related to betting.
How long?
So right now,
yeah. How long does that take? Because I mean, that seems like it's one of those, like, you probably have to jump through a lot of hoops. I mean, if you know the right people and you're good at what you do and you know what you do and you've done it before and you can prove that, maybe it's not as difficult. It's kind of like getting a license to sell beer, or sell alcohol in a place, if you know the right people. But it just seems to me, when you were talking globally, it's interesting because I actually went on the site and I tried to, and I think it asked, I thought it was just like an 18 plus, it was just looking for my age. But you're saying, like, right now I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, I couldn't actually go on the site right now and bet because it's just not licensed.
Exactly. So I mean, as I say, we need to apply for license for Florida to get that, and that's tied usually to casinos. I'm not going to get into that because I'm not 100% sure. So maybe if I say a lot of things that doesn't make any sense, and I'm thinking, but you need to get something it's part of casinos. You think you're getting something from the skin, but it's a long audit process. And it's also a lot of checks that need to be in place. So you can't just put up a shop somewhere and develop a site and then you're running. There's a lot of other checks and banks and things there. But I think a lot of things changed for us when we got listed on NASDAQ. That helped a lot because it showed that we are a player to be reckoned with. We are transparent, and we need to be transparent with what we're doing. So that also opened up a lot of doors and a lot of interesting conversations that we want to pursue and talk more about with everything from publishers to traditional sports. They want to look into what esports can do for them. So that's a really interesting that came with that listing on the NASDAQ.
Yeah. When you talk about betting in esports compared to traditional sports, and I know there was a lot of betting going on, right? Because traditional sports basically stopped. So when that stopped, some people went over to esports and gaming and wanted to bet on esports and gaming. And you read about some people complaining about this, complaining about that. I think they don't understand esports and gaming, right? So you guys are doing the same thing that you do for traditional sports, where you're building out analytics and data on the teams and the players and all of that, right?
Yeah. We are. I think we actually identify we will see two groups of people coming to our site. One is of course is the people that are the hardcore fans of esports, play Counter Strike or play League of Legends, Dota or StarCraft. I mean, if you don't play League or Dota, if you don't play that game, you don't know what's happening. You don't understand that. So people that play those games usually are not interested in like the traditional sports games like soccer or football or NBA, whatever it can be. So that's one type. The people that are interested in that's hardcore games. Then we see I would say the traditional sports betting people that bet on soccer games, that bet on Formula One or NBA, they would actually bet, and that's what we saw from Corona. They would actually come and bet on the virtual things, the virtual Formula One, the virtual FIFA series, everything like that. But they would be that. So that would actually be interesting to try to find how to get them to continue betting on esports. What do we need to do that? What do we need to develop to do that?
Right.
And they got a taste for it getting in during COVID because there was like, I don't know, was it like one league in Ukraine and one league in Peru, like second leagues are running. So people were betting those that never heard about that. They're just betting and they want to do that. So I think people are always going to be interested in doing bets. They want to bet nothing because it excites them. It gets something ticking. It gets you engaged in a game or wherever it can be there.
Yeah, there's such huge engagement with that. I was thinking about whether it's the international or worlds, depending on the different titles, if there might be some opportunities as well, instead of just like picking the winner or which team is going to win the next match. Are there going to be all these various other types of bets as well? Like one of the reasons people love the Super Bowl, right, so much is because even people that don't know anything about the Super Bowl can bet on just the silliest things, right? Who's going to win the coin flip at the beginning of the game? Who's going to score the first touchdown? Doesn't even matter who wins. You just have all these different things to bet on. Is that happening right now in esports? Or do you see like maybe at some of the big events that they'll add elements in like that, which makes it a lot more fun and to me then gets people more interested because they're engaged in one of these titles that maybe they've never even heard of before?
It's actually already happening. I mean, if you look at Dota or you look at Counter Strike, there are a lot of those kind of crazy bets you can do. Who's going to do first kill? Is that going to be a headshot in round 16? I think I saw one of our suppliers of the bet in that had actually 320 different bets for a Dota game they could put in.
Wow.
So those kind of things. It's already built out, so it's happening there. But as I said, maybe Dota is it's a little bit too hard a game for if you don't know what's happening. You can get in. Football, you kind of know a little bit what's going to be happening. You know the thing of the game, but if you don't, esport is hard on that one. But and the same is, I think for Counter Strike, I think they had something around 170, 200 different things you can do. So it's coming there, and that's what I think it's going to excite people more and more. On just not just betting who's going to actually win the game, but there's so many other things when you watch the game, it excites you, keep you engaged in doing that. So.
Yeah, and I think it's just like traditional sports. If I sit down next to you and you're kind of walking me through, oh, this is what's happening, then I'm learning from you as we're betting, and it becomes more fun and more exciting. And again, it's social because you and I are together, but it's also engaging with the platform.
Yeah, so I mean that's what I think. We want to build that kind of social community platform where people can sit together with each other and be like in a room and see the game, and then somebody can talk to them to the game and all that. And I actually saw a product called Hero that you can be 25 people in like a room, and there's one guy is taking care, or girl, or people. One person is running what you're going to show, and it could be YouTube, it can be Twitch, and you can watch the game together with 25 people, even if you're sitting at a different way. And then you can actually do those kind of. Somebody can talk you through that thing. So I think that's something we want to look at and explore how we can work on those kind of things.
Yeah, I also saw a post that you had, and you said, I love this term, a blue ocean opportunity. When you say a blue ocean opportunity, does that just mean that it's like huge?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it is huge, isn't it? I mean, eSport. I mean, looking at right now, I think, and don't hold me to the numbers. As I said, I think today a casino, somebody who goes and play on a casino is worth $500, $100.
Right.
And if you compare that to eSport, who's like maybe spending $5, then it's like it's 100-fold up where you can go on that. So I think for betting, it's a lot of things to do that, but it comes down to and also another thing I wrote about is the stigma of gamers. You think that's only 14-year-old kids basement alone, pizza and energy drinks. They are alone, but they are in the room, but they have probably a couple of thousand friends out there on the global world. They play games together. They do a lot of things, and they educating themselves on different things. So I think that's something that people are missing. But and also going back to the thing, just because they see somewhere there's odds of thing you can bet, it's not going to make them crazy or go bananas and that, because it's not just 14-year-old kids that are, it's actually 18 or 25 or even 30, 35 people sitting in their gaming room playing games with their friends and doing that. So, I mean, I got a friend who's in Sweden here who runs esports production. They actually have what they call OG, old gents land, where they go once every year to a place in Sweden. You need to be, I think you need to be over 40 to join that.
I was going to ask you, what's the age for that? Yeah.
I think it's about 40. I'll check with him. But I think they rent their own place. It's like 40, 50 people doing that, coming there. And they also, I mean, it's of course a little bit different compared to DreamHack. They got better food, they got chefs, they got drinks, and like that. But they go in there for the gaming. They're not 40-year-old kids alone. They're actually successful businessmen running all that, but they still have a passion for gaming. It doesn't leave you because you get 15 or 20. You actually have that interest with you all the life. And I think that's the thing people has hard time understand, that, oh, you can play games when you're 40. I mean, yeah, I can do it. I can do it when I'm 50. I can maybe 60, but maybe not as good when I was like 15 or 20 at my prime.
Yeah, but the thing that's great about that is, like, you're in Stockholm right now, and I'm here in Fort Lauderdale, and we could just jump on and play a game, and we're hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. That would be hard if we would play soccer or we would play football. That would be hard. Like, how can we can't do that? We can't play together. Maybe we see once every year at DreamHack Atlanta we can play.
Yeah. So having said that, you've been in this industry you are an OG, right? When you talk about this industry, you've been around for a while. You've been in it. Do you see today that it's much different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Do you think we're getting to a place where fewer and fewer people are saying it's not a sport, they're not athletes, and it's not social?
Yeah, we're getting there, but not at the pace that I was hoping for. I mean, usually, I know when we started DreamHack, I remember one, I'm not going to say who it was, but it's a fast food chain. We're going to talk today, we're advertising. They want to reach 18 to 25-year-olds. That was like DreamHack was a perfect way for them to go. But that person that we met, like, no, I don't have no clue about gaming. I don't know what kids do. And we had to explain for her that people actually watch other people play games, and it's natural to do that. And there's an event in Jönköping that gathers 50,000 people going, and it's like, that's your target group. She's like, no, I don't understand that. And my kid is just watching, Teletubbies, whatever. I have no clue. So that I think those things have really changed. And you can see a lot of agencies also getting head of esports that knows what's happening there. We put Tatiana Taka at Momentum Worldwide. She has actually head of esports over there. They look at that series. They see that's a way for their brands to activate with this generation, because it's not going to be through TV, it's not going to be through banners, it's not going to be through ads, because all those ad block, they don't watch TV, but they spend 75, 90 minutes on watching streams or esport or whatever it can be. So it's also more engaging than just having a 30 seconds video showing sometimes.
Yeah, there's a couple of posts that you had on LinkedIn that I want to go over, but I definitely want to ask you a few more questions about Vi. I just think it's very interesting, and I'll put these in the back of your head, so that, because sometimes when I go back through these LinkedIn posts and I ask people about them, they're like, I don't even remember posting that. So there's one about in-game photography in the auto industry, and then there's another one about moms that game, and I think you posted those two things. So I want to talk about those in a second, but what right now, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I want to get on the Vi.gg platform. I can't get on it right now. Where do you think? Where's the timeline? How long is it going to be before Jersey comes online? Because I think you said Jersey will probably be the first state in the U.S. and then like a Florida, because I think this is really exciting, and I think a lot of people really want it, but it's not. We don't have the ability to do it yet. So what do you think the timeline is on that?
I think I would say it would be a guess, but I think it's going to take. Sorry to say, for Florida, it's going to take years.
Wow.
It's opening up, but it seems like it's taking longer than I expected. I mean, I think it's 14 states right now that's open. I feel like it's been 14 states for the last 2 years. I'm not sure if anything is changing. I saw California is right now is supposed to be opening that to maybe 15, and maybe it comes in different ways there. So stay at least a year or two before we have more states getting in. That's a bigger one. But I think, I'm not sure. It's also very expensive markets. I think you need to be really cautious which are the states you want to get into, which are the good ones to be there, where actually there's a lot of betting happening there. And you can see New Jersey's been that, it's been there. Nevada is also, of course, there. But I'm not 100% sure how the Florida market are, or how the California market is also there. But I know Grant, when you speak to him, if you do that, he will definitely have more insight about that.
Yeah, and it's one of those where, to me, it makes sense with brick and mortar casinos, right? We have some here in Florida, and obviously you've got Vegas and Jersey with Atlantic City. But so I could see that as if I wanted to go someplace to a casino and bet. But it's weird when you're online. I just, right? Because I mean, so I could go, if I'm in Malta or if I'm in Sweden, I could get on and I could game. But if I'm in Fort Lauderdale, I can't game online. I don't know. It's just I can't wrap my head around it, honestly.
Isn't that just because of all the regulations? But it's also, I mean, of course, but also I think that it's not that they're just not open up just for esports, they actually open up for all sports. And I think that it's so much money there, so they want to control that, and we're growing money back to the state and all that.
Right.
So
exactly.
it is a huge thing when they open up, as I said, for if it's like horse racing or NASCAR or NBA, whatever. Traditional sport betting is huge there. And I guess people are maybe in some ways still betting, by even if they live in Florida, but maybe on other ways. I'm not sure, but I guess so.
Yeah, and I think even in traditional sports here in the States, I mean, the betting is different than it is in Europe. I've heard anyway, and I haven't done it, but I believe that in the Premier League, like if you're at a soccer match, I think you can actually bet on the soccer match when you're there.
From the arena when you're at the stands, you can bet. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's part of the culture. It's part of living that. So
yeah. So we don't really have that here. So, okay. So jump into those, and I know we got to close up soon. So I know you got people coming to the event. So you mentioned that, and I just thought this was really cool. So you posted, I don't even know how much you know about it, but just says leading photographers adapt to shooting esports. And I think it's actually in game. I don't know how that works.
No, I just saw that because, I mean, as I said, I had an interest in photography earlier on, hence my picture on Twitter. But I mean, I saw that. I think it was actually Sebastian Hornung at Porsche who actually posted that first, and just showing that even if in this COVID period you can't maybe take a photo of usually your race, do photos on race tracks, wherever, you can actually do that in game. And it also gives a lot of creativity, a lot of new angles that hasn't been possible before. So I was like shocked that you can do it digital right now and do it and actually sell those pictures. Like, okay, I mean, that means everybody can do that. And I think, and that's what I like maybe with esports and gaming, that like it's opened up so many new avenues of work to do and different. I mean, both 20 years back, who do you think would actually be somebody that would commentate an esport game, or somebody actually be an influencer? Those are all new things that hasn't just been evolving in a couple of years. And I think that's fantastic. I don't think we've even seen the end of it. I think it's going to still be new things coming up and new roles in esports and gaming.
Yeah, I agree. I just think there's so many opportunities there. Now, I mentioned coaching earlier. You're talking about the betting in the gambling industry right now that you've gotten into. I mean, that didn't exist 10 years ago for sure, right? Yeah. So just so many opportunities, and I think the universities are starting to understand that, and they're starting to build curriculum around it. And I like the way the companies are working hand in hand with some of those schools, universities, to help them build out the curriculum because they have the real life and experience. And then go ahead.
I mean, all the university. I think what they're building, trying to do that, I think is great. I also want to send one tip to everybody if they're listening. Join DreamHack Crew. I think that's one of the best things to get into business, because there's a lot of things. I get questions: how do I get in? What should I do? Join the DreamHack Crew. Do a couple of events. You're gonna build a network. You're gonna show how it's working from the inside and out. I think it's the best experience you can actually do there to get into this business and understand it.
So you mean like as an intern?
No, I mean you can volunteer. You can do. They have volunteer workers for like every event. So if you go to Atlanta, there's like a couple of hundred people that actually are volunteer workers. All are interested in gaming, has the same passion for gaming, but they want to help. And I think that's a way to learn the business. It's a way to get learning to know people in the industry. If you don't haven't been to an event before, maybe you're looking for contacts, you're going to look for internship. If you be a volunteer worker, you can actually get it firsthand talking to the people that are actually working maybe at HyperX, you can working at Logitech, or maybe working at the crew at DreamHack that are doing that. So I think it's a great way to interact and learn more about how event and esport is working.
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal suggestion, because experience like that, that's the best way to learn something, is through experientially. And when you do something like at a DreamHack, there's so many different areas that you're learning in, right? There's just so much going on. I spoke to Ashley Chalk. I think she's the VP of Partnerships at Complexity, and she was talking about her minor league baseball when she had come up in minor league baseball. And when you're in minor league baseball, you have to do everything. You have to do it all. You're not specialized. So I think DreamHack, and volunteering for DreamHack is a great example of that. Yeah, I'd like to share that with people. So one of the last things, and again, it's just interesting to me because right now one of the things we're talking about in building out content at the Ultimate Gamer is to actually get more moms involved. Right. And maybe even do a show like The View, which is just moms talking about gaming. And they don't even have to be gamers themselves, but all these moms are affected by their kids and their their husbands or their boyfriends, that are gaming. So you mentioned this, most moms are gamers, and it was a Blizzard, I think from Blizzard Entertainment report. Yeah. I don't know if you want to share anything about that or just your own views on getting, the females in the industry, women in the industry, which are building, but also moms, because I think a lot of moms are the ones that don't understand a lot of the positives that are coming out of gaming.
I think that's moms. I mean, moms or dads, for that, they understand what the kids are doing. I think sitting down, see what's happening, trying to see what the kids are playing and doing that. Usually they just left alone to like a babysit, go play some games, to watch Netflix or whatever. They don't really understand what's happening, what's doing there, and what the people come talking about in those games or saying to each other. I think that's a little bit of that. What do you call it? That people that are parents are actually seeing that, because if you go to a soccer game, something is happening there, somebody starts screaming and shouting you, there's going to be something actually overseeing that, and there's going to be a talk, and you would go to them and say, hey, you can do that, you need to understand, it's like you're hurting that. That's not in gaming, that's just kids screaming at each other. It's crazy. So but I think you're underestimating what people actually, that whole casual gamers, we always talk about esports and that, it's like hard, it's League of Legends, it's Dota, it's World of Warcraft, all those things. But it's also casual games that a lot of people play those games, and it's like, that's also gamers. But we're so fast on putting a label that there has to be a gamer, you need to play like those hardcore games. But right. I play Candy Crush. I think that's the game I play the most, because I play that I need to kill 15 minutes. I'm sitting on I'm flying from Sweden to California, US, somewhere about 8 and 12 hours. I don't know how many games around of Candy Crush I played. I'm still gaming. To me, it's gaming. It's relaxing. I don't play World of Warcraft. I don't play those games on 5 because I don't have that gear. But I still want to play game and get, think about something else there. So I think that's one of the things we need to understand. That's also part of the gaming culture, gaming lifestyle, playing that kind of games.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I think we're missing that part. We just see that people need to play hardcore games. Otherwise, it's not gaming in that case.
Yeah, and I think that's part of like what you were talking about earlier, and I think DreamHack does a pretty good job of that. And I think that's one of the things that we're working on is building that sense of community where really, everybody's a gamer.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's a gamer, and you don't have to understand CS:GO to understand that somebody's enjoying themselves and involved in that game, and somebody's playing Candy Crush. They're two totally different games, but we're enjoying it. I just saw something about David Beckham getting involved in esports. I mean, there's all these people that are, a lot of the team owners from the NFL and the NBA have gotten involved in the last 2 or 3 years, and there's always been this trickling in of celebrity and musicians and entertainment. And I just saw that Beckham is now involved, and I think it just came out earlier. I don't know if you saw that, but on maybe a London-based team.
I missed that. Is that with the Excel team or?
I think so. I think this just came out. I mean, before you and I got on, I think it was just one of those that was just released some news. And I just always find that's again, it's more excitement just around the space and gaming. Anytime you have big names like that getting involved.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, it's still cheap to get involved, even if we're talking about, for me, it's not cheap because we're talking millions of dollars. For these guys, it's not that expensive to do that compared to, I think Beckham is buying an MLS team in Florida or something like that. We're trying to do that. I mean, that's not a couple of million, that's a couple of billions instead. But he can foot that bill, and still getting into esports is still relatively cheap compared to what they're doing that. Then, of course, it's evaluation of whole esports, something like that, that's still crazy in doing that. So maybe we see some changes with that. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know what's your view on team evaluation or evaluation of the tournament platform where I can be there also.
Yeah, well, I'm actually going to have Nicole Pike on in a couple of weeks, and she's with Nielsen, and I think now it's YouGov, and that's one of the things I want to ask her because, and listen, I think in traditional sports, I worked for the Dolphins and the Miami Marlins, and when you look at these valuations, I mean, obviously there's a lot of analytics and data and science, and there's a lot of work that goes into that, but some of it is still, it's not, I don't say guesswork, but right when you say. When I was with the Miami Marlins, Derek Jeter and his group bought the team for $1.1 billion. I don't know if it was worth $1.1 billion. Yeah, and I don't know. And I think they won't know until, 10 years down the road where maybe the team starts performing better and there's good attendance and they can sell it for 1.4. That's so. Yeah, I mean, it's always that's. I love talking about that stuff, but I think there's a lot of work that goes into it, but I do believe there is some guesswork there. But it's interesting to see these valuations of these teams go up. And I know right now, all these orgs are racing right to be the first $1 billion org in esports. To have that title is just something that I'm sure a bunch of these guys are really aiming for at this point right now.
It is, yeah. I mean, I think there are some teams that are doing an excellent job, and I think they are really doing that. Looking at Fnatic. I love it. I mean, the thing released with Gucci right now. I think that's super cool. Yeah. I also like what the 100 Thieves is building. That's an esports team that actually influences and also building a lifestyle brand, I would say. I think that's also really cool. Not just an esports CSGO team that has some more components into that. So that's good. Those are, I think, interesting to see what's happening and doing there with those guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think when you look at the valuations of pro traditional sports teams, and they've been valued over $1 billion, and people are, can esports get there? I really believe so, because when you look at the esports orgs, you have global, there's global impact, first of all, and then you can also be headquartered and have sub-headquarters globally. And it just in our backyard right here is Misfits Gaming. Well, Misfits Gaming has their headquarters in Boca, but they're also based out in LA, and they have an office in Berlin. There's not like, some of the $1 billion teams, they don't really have these global headquarters and offices, and they'll just continue to grow, and they can have multiple teams and multiple content creators and streamers all under one org. So I see it happening in the not too distant future. And I could see, when I first got into the space 3 or 4 years ago, Ted Leonsis' prediction coming true, where he said esports will be bigger than the NFL, in the next 5 to 10 years. I don't know if it's going to be the next 5 to 10 years, but I think this esports and gaming is not slowing down at all. So it's very exciting. And
it's not going to slow down, but I think you're looking at, if you compare NFL to esports, I mean, usually you take the NFL as, I would say, pretty local or US thing centric. You're putting that, comparing that to esports as global. I never see you comparing soccer and esports. Usually it's that, NBA, NHL, those are pretty local, small, that, and you don't compare that to then you put in the global esports numbers, and that's, sometimes it feels like you're measuring apple and pears right now, and that's a long conversation for another time. But that's something I think esports needs to start using a little bit of the right metrics number, not using that global number and put that together to like and traditional Americans football is American. It's not. I mean, it's not that huge in UK, and I mean, it's not. I mean, you never compare it to the soccer. You never. That never happens because that's not. I mean, esports is never close, but we will gain that. We will get that numbers in there, but it also puts some kind of what people are expecting. They're expecting huge numbers there. But I mean, then you look at you expect. We talk about global numbers. Then when you buy something, it's always that it's local numbers. Then you see that number is really low compared to the global number. Of course, yeah, because it's a local number. But what you're getting in that local region is getting spot on target there. So yeah, there's some things there.
I agree, and I think globally soccer is a much better comparison. But I also think that sometimes I fault myself for saying you really should. When you say esports, that's a collective. That when you say esports, that's like all these games. So you should actually just take out Dota, right, and say, okay, is Dota going to be as big as soccer, or is League of Legends going to be as big as football or the NFL? You know, that's a more fair comparison than just saying is esports going to be bigger than the EPL, you know, or the Liga, or so. Yeah, I tend to do that, and it's a little bit unfair. My point is just simply, you know, for people like yourself that have been in it 20, 25 years, and for somebody like me that's been in it almost 5 years now, it's just super exciting, man. It's so great because these conversations I'm having with you, you're in Stockholm right now. I talked to Ellen Fang in Malaysia the other day, and you know, I talked to Frank in Stockholm, and so we're having these global conversations. And if I was in one of these other industries in traditional sports, I probably wouldn't, unless it was tennis or something like that, which is kind of global, or soccer. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, man, I thank you. Magnus, I could talk to you. The last thing I would ask you, the name Magnus, it's such a great name. Where'd you get Magnus? I mean, obviously your parents, but
from my parents, I'm not sure where they get it. I mean, I would say it's a pretty common name in Sweden. But I think it's also part of some kind of character in Dota. I don't play Dota.
Oh, really?
But I heard that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I think there's a character called Magnus in there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think he's a huge giant. It goes well. I'm 6'6", so I'm pretty huge in that way.
Well, man, I know you're super busy. I really thank you for your time. It's awesome that you guys are hosting that event there today. Make sure you social distance and everybody stay safe. You know,
I'll do that.
Yeah, and I'll look forward. I'll look forward to catching up with you soon. You'll still attend some of the DreamHack events, right? Even though you're not going to be a part of DreamHack.
I definitely going to do that. I love the DreamHack events. There's so many good memories, and I'm just sad they left Austin there because that was my best event ever. But I would say I would rate Atlanta as number 2 on the great events over there. So I had a lot of good times there.
That's awesome. Well, I hope to see you soon. Tell Frank I said hello.
I will do that when it comes.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, man. Talk to you later.
Bye. Bye.
I'd like to thank Magnus for sharing his time, experience, and knowledge with us today. His background and experience with DreamHack have given him such a unique perspective of the industry. It covers multiple continents. Nothing replaces that experience. His connectivity in the gaming world is both impressive and aspirational. And now, the timing of his move to global esports wagering platforms that is poised to dramatically impact the online gambling marketplace seems Nostradamus-like to me. He is a true prognosticator. You can listen to Magnus again now, and you can also find timestamp segments of the show, links to his social pages, and more information about his projects media in the show notes. If you enjoy our discussion, please let us know. Continue the conversation with me across all social platforms. Become a part of the Ultimate Gamer community today by subscribing at theultimategamer.com. We release a new show every day of the week, Monday through Friday. So be the first to join us for some outstanding upcoming guests and or dive back into the library of previous All About the Game pods to hear from some of the most brilliant minds in the space. Experts like founder of UConnect Esports, Dylan Liu, professional basketball player for the WNBA's world champion Washington Mystics, and member of the Global Esports Federation, Ariel Powers, and pro NBA 2K player at Jazz Gaming, Brent Lord Beesus Asgard, just to name a few. You can find all these episodes and more on the Ultimate Gamer website, on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your pods. And finally, please like, rate, and review the show. It helps us reach the gaming community to spread the word and share the wisdom of our guests, as well as some of the most thought-provoking stories in the industry. Shout out, as always, to the Ultimate Gamer. I look forward to being with you on the next All About the Game podcast.